Hello, hello, dear colleagues from all over the world, and welcome to another session of Teach.Love.Earn with the talented teachers from all around the globe. I have a question. Have you ever had the situation when your students would completely forget something what you taught them kind of 2-3 months ago? Even the simplest idiom or the simplest lexical chunk, and they would forget and would not use it, and you would be like, wow, why they forgot, we need to reuse it, we need to recycle it. And you would understand that you need to implement the recycling in your classroom, and you would start looking for exercises, for nice activities, kind of coming up with the ideas, right? Has it ever happened? So today, that's actually the topic of our interview, recycling in ELT, and my colleague Victoria Besarab from Ukraine, who is currently in Poland, will share all her experience using, implementing recycling. We will go through what it is, how to use it, how often to use it, and actually how to organize it in a natural, interesting, exciting way for our students, of course, so that they never forget what they learned, but they reuse it. So please welcome my guest. Hello,
Hey.
Victoria. Happy to see you. Welcome, welcome. Actually, I have to mention that we already had a session with Victoria, and she was sharing how she came to Poland, how she did her CELTA in Poland, and she's been living there for several years already, and has been a teacher.
Almost 5 years.
Right. So make sure to find that interview as well on my channel and watch it. It's called Teaching in Poland. Victoria is saying all the details, how to become a teacher and what you actually have to experience. But today we will be talking about the recycling, another interesting topic which Victoria came up with, and we decided to go for it. And actually today Victoria will share also the exact examples of the activities which she is using, and she will show us all the details. Okay, Victoria, could we... Hi! So Eva is saying hi to us. Hello, everyone. Please type in the comments below where you're from, guys, if you're watching us right now during this live, or if you will be watching during the recording. Anyway, leave your hello to us. Victoria, let's start just, with the basics, because we need to mention what recycling is, right? So could you please just give us the idea of what recycling is?
Yeah, so first of all, every teacher faces the need to recycle things and revise things. And most of the time, we go for those revision pages in books, or we do some tests, we have some formative assessment, summative assessment to help us. And sometimes we revise for the test, sometimes we recycle some grammar, some vocabulary. We can create different exercises to do that and stuff. We're going to talk about ways to do it. But this is basically what we understand as teachers when we talk about recycling. But there's also one more thing, which we often opt for having a course book, and which drives us to get a course book rather than develop our own materials. And it's the fact that vocabulary and language in general is recycled in a course book much better than what we would have if we had the sort of patchwork approach, when we have just pages, some handouts, or when we create our own materials. And unfortunately, there are some things that are not recycled, or not recycled enough. So, for example, lower level course books are usually better at it, while higher level course books tend to have more diverse vocabulary, and they can recycle things less and less. And one more thing is that we still have emergent language, and we do need to recycle it in any way. And this is when a course book is not going to come in handy, because it's not going to know what exactly you want to revise. And of course, those recycling, reviewing, revision pages are done pretty much at random. They use, sometimes they use target language of the lessons, sometimes they just want to revise some of the language that was taught as passive, for passive understanding, before listening or before reading text, but they don't know your students. And as a teacher, you sometimes have to make some small tweaks and have to make some changes in order to make this revision more suitable to your students, more suited to them, more more useful. And this is when you sometimes have to come up with different games and activities and different stuff that you can do to revise things.
Which we will go through for sure. I just have, I would like to mention that we use this recycling and revising as synonyms. However, there is a difference between them, right? So there can be the revision of the material kind of before the test, let's say, or just the revision what we learned, I don't know, during the last lesson, correct? But what we will be discussing with you is more like recycling something what was learned how much time ago? Like some months ago, right? So
it depends, some months ago, or in your previous lesson. Recycling or spiraling is also a way of sequencing your lessons if you design your own course. And recycling is what course books use, or spiraling is what course books use, and course book writers use when they make their books. So basically, you start small, and then you go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, but you go back to the same topics and words and expressions and stuff like that. So that would be like a spiral.
Mm-hmm. And basically, if we rely on the course book, so we're a little bit more on the safe side, but it is especially a question when we want to design our own materials. As you mentioned, Victoria, I will just show the comments of our friends. And I just have to mention that Victoria is designing her own materials, and she's been doing it very, very successfully. I saw the materials, they look stunning, and they're so well organized, and I participated in the class of Victoria classes actually, and it's huge pleasure to use the materials. They're so nice and well planned and thought, very, very thoughtfully, planned very thoughtfully. And that was the question which Victoria also got during her live session. I was watching it, and there was the question how to recycle them. So that's why Victoria knows what she's talking about, because she's practicing it. So that's why we are all ears.
Yeah, and when designing your own materials, I think I also wrote a post about that, and I think you can incorporate this recycling into your course. You can make it part of your materials, and you can move smoothly from one topic to another, ensuring this recycling. Though not everybody opts for this kind of strategy, and it's okay. You might have a different context. You might have a group that attends lessons sporadically, and they don't. You don't have a fixed group, so it's sort of hard to recycle something. You might have a different context. So I'm not an expert in everything, and what I'm saying is not going to be a excuse me, a solution that's going to fit all. It's most of the things that I say can apply to most teachers, but if you have different contexts, that's okay, and you can write in the comments what your context is and how you go about recycling and revising material, and we can also discuss that.
Yeah, very good idea. Please leave a comment if you agree or don't agree, if you have anything to add, if you have any kind of interesting, useful resources. Please leave it in the comments below, because everyone will benefit from it. Look at that. Yes, and please give a like to this video, because it will be helpful a lot for other people to find this session and have benefit from it as well. Okay, Victoria, can we just, mention what do we recycle, so that just to understand, to be on the same page, what do we recycle? What?
Yeah, and there are different things that you can recycle, so or revise time to time. So first of all, that could be your target language. That would be the most obvious thing that people would go for, because this our target language, we need to learn it. In order to learn it, we need a lot of exposure of it, from 7 to 25 encounters with that expression or word in order to acquire it. So it takes a lot of exposure, and we need to make sure that we have enough exposure by recycling this vocabulary, and yeah, by just mentioning it in different contexts and so on and so forth, and in given different contexts. Sometimes people recycle difficult words. If we recycle the most difficult words, sometimes oh, there was a bit of a failure. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. There was a little bit of delay, but we could recognize the words, so don't worry. We can move on.
Okay, I'm sorry. There was a sort of a blackout. Anyway, yeah, so emergent language, because it's obviously not in the book, and if we rely on the book, and if we count on the course book writers and think that, okay, they should have done it for us, and we're not going to need to revise things, and we only need to revise emergent language. Okay, sometimes people revise something that we learned a long time ago, because that's like obvious, because we haven't studied it for some time, we haven't revised it, we need to go back to it. Sometimes you can revise something of student's choice, and you can let them decide what they want to revise and what they want to acquire, and what words they deem as important and necessary. And this is where your lexical journals, or your students' lexical journals, may come in handy when they're going to look at their journals and work in pairs and help each other revise things in pairs, because they choose the words that they want to revise, because they make choices when they write them down. But I think that it's important to revise everything, because if we only focus on one group of words or expressions, when saying words, I mean expressions and language in general. So if we focus just on grammar, or just on difficult words, or just on target language, or only on emergent language, we might miss out on something, and we don't want that, and we want to have a more all-encompassing sort of revision that has everything we need. And yeah, so I think that you can have a bit of everything, and then you can decide what balance is right for you, and what proportion you're going to go for.
Mm-hmm. And Victoria, you mentioned about the Lexical Journal. So I have to also mention that Victoria has delivered the whole webinar about the Lexical Journal, how to actually create it, how to use it, how to organize, and how to present it to students so that they really feel so much excited to also go with it. And You can find this webinar on the SR Teaching and Learning channel, but just to make your life simpler, I will post the link down below so you will be able to find it easily. And Victoria, I have the question on the go. So you said about the targeted language. Okay, so I imagine that, of course, we have our lesson plans, right? So we kind of know what we taught our students, what they learned, or we have the course book where everything is written, vocabulary is there, the box is there. What about the emerged language? How to, can you please share your experience, how to keep track on it so that you know which language emerged so that you can revise it with this particular group, with this particular student? So how not to lose it? What are your tricks?
Yeah, so I use Google Classroom, and every lesson in my group or with my one-to-one students, we have a post with emergent language. So with my group, I usually start with a post with materials, a post with a handout, and then we have a post with emergent language and the recording of the lesson. And this is where I write everything that emerged during our lesson, and I try to group things immediately. I'm not always able to do it on the go, but I always try to highlight some things or to make it more readable. Sometimes I group things according to parts of speech or according to topics, because sometimes during the small talk, students start talking about the weather or about we know what, and then you have to have this bank of words for medicine, medicine, hospitals and stuff like that. And this is something that emerges during almost every lesson. And then we have the main topic, and this is where I also sort things. Sometimes I categorize them according to different subcategories and make sort of a mind map. And okay, so for example, we have the topic about cities, and I can have one subtopic like transport and all the things connected with transport. Then one subtopic about playgrounds, because one of my students, teacher learners, has a toddler, and they often go to playgrounds, and we often talk about different things in the playground. And so these are subtopics that we can use to group words during the lesson. This is how I keep track of emergent language. I know that some teachers keep just one Google Doc, which is also useful, and all the students have access to it, and you just add more words as you go. Sentences, words. So one more important point is that it's not just words. I try to add sentences, or if it's a word, I try to add a sample sentence, or the sentence in which we saw it or heard it, or somebody was trying to say. I usually try to add some extra information and generate more collocations and expressions and so on. So you can keep track of it on Google Classroom, in a Google Doc. If you have offline lessons, then you can have just a document on your computer, a Word document. That's what I did for a very long time. I had a document for every student and for every group that I had, and that was very convenient, because whenever I had to do any kind of revision, I just opened a doc and I had everything, and I sorted everything for myself, so I could see it all there before my eyes. I think it's better than just keeping track of it in messages or in the chat box or wherever, because you can group things and you can sort them and you can move them around. But in the chat, you can't do that. Once it's there,
It
it's
will
there.
take you ages to find it. But
Yeah.
actually, yeah, one more thing is your lexical journal, because right now, as you are explaining about the recycling and emerged language and all the targeted language, it's so, so handy when you were showing the pages, how you organize, how you group it, that there are some special signs, there are special pages, there are special colors. Everything is so well done that I say that you should, sell them. So guys, everyone who is watching this session, I highly encourage you to find the Lexical Journal webinar on the Start Teaching and Learning channel, or follow the link which I will ping here in the comments. All right, Victoria, thank you so much for such detailed answer. Let's move on to how often should we recycle actually the language. Should we do it kind of every lesson or once in a blue moon? What would you say? What's the perfect balance?
Yeah, I'd rather say that it's important to have a bit of recycling all the time, because as a teacher, you're constantly thinking, you have lots of tabs in your head, like mental tabs. And one of those tabs is going to be the like things to revise or recycle. And you can use an opportunity to recycle things in any minute during any lesson. That doesn't have to be just every few months or every half a year or every month or at the end of the unit. You can do it as often as you wish, and it can be in any form you wish. So it really depends on the form. Of course, you can't have a test every lesson, or you can't have, you can't have games just at the end of the year. Like, let's play a game, and it's our last lesson, and we play a game to revise things. So there should be some balance, and it really depends on what way you use, what way you choose, and what activity, and so what activity you go for. If you, speaking of tests, for example, sometimes people do tests every few months, every few months, or every 2 units, or every unit. I don't do tests, but I used to do tests. But I just, so you can have different contexts, and you might be doing exam prep, and this is where you're going to need to do tests. You might do, you might just have to do tests because of your school, because of the school where you work, and I've been in a situation like that as well. So that's a useful tool as well, but I think it's more important to have a healthy relationship with the word test, because sometimes people are really scared of this word, and they don't want to have any tests. So when I was asked to do tests with my young learners in Poland, I did quizzes, and I wrote quiz, and it had lots of Z's, and it was quite funny, and the students liked it, and they didn't take it that seriously, because it had quiz, okay, it's not a test, it's a quiz, and they feel good. So it could
Smart
be
feeling.
So it's all about the atmosphere, and it's all about your attitude, and how you treat it, and how you treat your students, and whether you're going to grade this test, whether you, of course you're going to grade them, but whether you, how you're going to use the assessment, whether those grades are going to influence anything, whether they're going to have any impact on the students' future, or whether they're just for the students, or maybe you're going to tell them, their parents, about the grades. So these are the things to bear in mind. But we're not talking about assessment today, we're talking about revising. And I wouldn't say that a test is a good tool to revise things. because it's more of a summative assessment. It is summative assessment, basically. You just show them what they've done and how well they've done, and yeah. So I'd rather say that a test or a small test at the end of the lesson can also be a good thing to revise what we've done today or in the past week, for example. So yeah, it depends what kind of test it is, whether it's a big one like an A4 page of lots of exercises in in small print, or whether it's just some exercises. Yeah, and you can use different exercises to revise things.
And here we are coming to the most important and the most interesting
Yeah, so
part.
exercises can be fun. They can be quite different. You can have like a matching exercise, a gapped text or gapped sentences, multiple choice, whatever you wish. It should be something that prompts students' memory, that's something that helps them retrieve things from memory. And yeah, also you need to decide whether you want to choose things for active recall or for passive review, because if that's something too difficult, or if that's something that your students might have forgotten, you'd better go for passive review first and give them the opportunity to see this word and maybe do some task with it, rather than eliciting this word, because if you know for sure that they have forgotten this sort of thing, I think it's better to start with passive review. Okay, Ina is writing that with her adult students, she likes to make recycling less visible for them to make vocabulary production more natural. Yeah, and this is what I'm getting at. One way to do it is questions with the language that you want to revise, or questions about it, or questions that are going to prompt your students to use it. For example, what can you put in in something? Or what do we wear in the summer? Or what? Name 3 things we wear to a party. Things like that. And they are, of course, going to prompt your students to use this language. Or you can also ask, using passive review, where might you wear, or on what occasion might you wear, I don't know what, but sunglasses, for example, and they're going to say on a beach, or I don't know, in the summer. So you understand that they understand what you mean. Yeah. Right. So questions are a very useful tool. You can also have your students make those questions, and this would be another good activity to revise questions, asking questions. It could be a collaborative task, and you could monitor them and see if they're doing it well, and then you can mix them and they can ask those questions to different people. And this way they're going to revise the language. Then they also have more autonomy, because they are going to choose what language they want to include in those questions. Yeah, they become more responsible and more independent at the same time. So that's another cool idea. I'll just tick off a few things that I've mentioned. Yeah, exercises. Right. One more thing is same or similar tasks when you want to redo them, and this is something that is that Hugh Della advocates pretty much. When you ask your students to do this task better next time, especially at lower levels, when you just do an activity and then you you tweak the activity a little bit. Maybe you change the names of the cities, and maybe you changed some small bits, just not to make it the same. And then you ask them to do this activity better, or in a shorter time, or with a new partner. So there are lots of options as well. And this is also going to prompt them to use the same vocabulary, the same lexis, the same structures that they used before, but this time they're going to do it better, more confidently, and yeah.
And even enjoy it more.
Yeah, probably.
Be happy with the
Right.
results.
One more thing is games and quizzes, different quests and board games. One of the things that I've done is, let me share my screen.
Sure,
I'm going to share it. Chrome tab. Yes, this one. So I also shared that on my Instagram, and it's this post. I created these treasure maps. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, cool. So these treasure maps were, as you can see, they don't have any words. There's nothing, just nothing but pictures, yeah? So what I did was, as you can see, there's treasure. I don't know if you can see my mouse. So
I don't think we can see. Oh, no, yes, it's visible. It's visible.
Yeah, so there's this treasure that your students need to reach. But first, they start with these houses. And what do you think houses are there for? Why did I draw houses?
Maybe there is some kind of storage for the equipment that they can use in order to dig the treasure, or some compass.
No, it's much simpler, because it's just the topic about cities, and we started by talking about, I think it was about given directions, but I'm not sure. Oh yeah, it was just places in the city, places in town, and I drew the town, and I can't remember what exactly we did with this one, but then we had this shopping center, and shopping center was a game when I asked my students, one of my students, to leave the room and pretend that we have lost the student, and then we had to make an announcement and to describe that student in the announcement, because we were looking for him or her. And the students had to remember what that boy or girl was wearing, their appearance, and we had to make sentences and make a speech. We had to make an announcement. So we are looking for Lenka. She's got blue eyes, long hair, like long blonde hair, and she's wearing this and this and that. And then we let Lenka in, and then we checked if we were right. You can also hide your student in the wardrobe or put a blanket on him or her. So there are different things that you can do. So this way we revised clothes and appearance. Then we had a hospital. I can't remember what we did for the hospital, to be honest. A pharmacy. Really, I can't remember, but there was an activity. Then we had the crocodile game, Mr. Crocodile game. If you have ever taught young learners, you know what Mr. Crocodile is. This is to revise colors and clothes. Then we had some papyrus. To be honest, I can't remember what it was. But then we had knots and crosses or tic-tac-toe. And then we played a game of tic-tac-toe. When I wrote some words that I wanted to revise, I wrote them on the board, or I didn't write them on the board, but I asked them to choose a square in the grid, and then I did a task I made a task for them to guess the word. If they guessed the word, they could put a knot or a cross. Then we had a supermarket, and we did some things in the supermarket. Then we had a robot, and this robot game that when you give your students instructions, like go left, turn right, go straight, move forward, bend, stuff like that, and they had to reach some point in the classroom. Then we had Fox, which is their favorite game, when one of them is a fox and they have to make a false statement, and then we need to guess who is the fox. And it's like Mafia, but for young learners.
Right.
Broccoli, I have no idea what broccoli is for. Then we had find a phone. I think I collected some stuff from their school supplies, and then we asked questions like whose ruler is this, or whose rubber is this? I think it's Olivka's. I think it's Shimon's. So it was like this. Then we had films. They were guessing genres of films by listening to typical songs, typical soundtracks, and then they finally reached the treasure. But the thing is, while doing so, we could skip some of the things. I could change them on the go. I could make the activities shorter or longer, and we did that for the whole lesson. But it was very fun for them. It was so much fun for them. It was something that they really enjoyed, and they wanted to see what's going to be next. I didn't write what exactly is there in that revision, like what's behind that symbol, so they didn't know what it was about. And so that was, and all of those things were the things that we had studied before, the things that we had studied previously. We just played the same or similar games and activities that they loved, but we did that to revise things before a test or before a quiz, or just at the end of the term or at the end of the year. There was one more thing that I did more often than that. And I learned that thing from my friend Monica, who actually invited me to work in Poland in the first place, and that was quiz night show, this or quiz show. So when you draw a grid, you draw it on the whiteboard or on the blackboard, a huge grid where you have 4 or 5 categories. Whatever topics you have studied, for example, clothes, shops, food, New Year, Christmas, and maybe miscellaneous or random. And you have those categories at the top, and you have questions for a different number of points. You've got 50, 100, 150, 200, and 250. And you make the same grid on paper. You just write the questions on the paper. It takes just 10 minutes. You create some questions or tasks, and then they choose the category, they choose how many points they want to get, and you ask them the question. If they get it right, they get those points. Then you assign someone to keep track of the points on the board or somewhere, and they have those ridiculous numbers like 12,000 points, and even if they lose, they're still like, yay, we got 10,000 points. So they're still happy. This is a very good activity to revise things with, especially with young learners, and you can revise different topics at the same time. But it's more of a revision activity. And there's one more that I wanted to show you. It's also a version activity. It's a board game, and I did it. I made this reusable board game that has lots of different spaces here. It's got 15 spaces, not too many, but it's pretty much endless, to be honest. It's very difficult to win because there are lots of places that send you back. For example, roll the dice. If the number is even, go to 4. Go to space 4, riddle. If the number is odd, go to 2, spell it. Or here, roll the dice. If the number is 1, go to 6, mime it. If the number is 2 or 3, go to 4, riddle. If the number is 4, 5, or 6, go back to start. Or take a card from 3 categories of your choice. Or predict the number. If you guessed, go to fun. If you were wrong, go back to start. Yeah, it's really hard to win, as you can see, because of this especially. And there's spell it, riddle, mime it, truth or dare, speaking, fun, and general knowledge. I also had some with grammar and vocabulary, but I don't know where they are. I had a huge board game. I used it with adults and with young learners as well. And the thing is, I only had to prepare different cards for these categories, these purple ones. Like spell it, riddle, mime it. Yeah, this one was for kids for sure, because there's spell it and riddle. I think the adults one, which I can't find for some reason, had vocab and grammar instead of these two. And I just had post-its which had the word riddle or the word grammar on one side and the task itself on the other side. And I had those 6 piles of cards of different colors, like red, purple. I still remember that grammar was red, vocabulary was orange, fun was purple, and lots of different cards. And yeah, they just pull a card, they take a card, post it, and they do the task. And you can shuffle it, and you can change some of the cards to play with a different group, because you have obviously different emergent language. So yeah, it can also be quite fun. But some of the cards are going to be the same for truth or dare or speaking. They can be the same if you've got 2 groups at the same level. So you can have some speaking tasks, or like speaking task, a monologue, like for 2 minutes or for a minute. Fun was just really silly ones, to be honest. And general knowledge was from the videos and articles that we read in class. So I asked them questions about the content that was there. And it was also nice because I just tried to show them that it's not just about grammar and vocabulary, but it's also about the things that we learn through English. Yeah.
That's very nice activities which you're sharing. Just, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm listening, like, just enjoying so much, and this and this and that. And that's so great that we are doing this session, actually, so that anyone who is watching it can pause, listen again, and even come up with their own ideas. And we always can just add some small things of ours and always change. So actually it's kind of endless ocean of ideas. And just for the record, Victoria, how much time approximately would take such activity which you just showed with this?
This one could take a whole lesson. Because it looks like it's got just 15 spaces, like we're going to do it in no time. But then you realize that every task takes some time, And also they go back to start a lot because I'm a very cruel person. The thing is, I think it's better, and it took me just a few minutes to make it, but I think it's better than those scary board games that have grammar, vocabulary, grammar, vocabulary, grammar, vocabulary, grammar, vocabulary. I've seen similar ones in some course books. I'm not going to tell you like which ones, but they had a lot of and I've seen board games like this, but they had like grammar, vocabulary, grammar, vocabulary, grammar, vocabulary, grammar, vocabulary, and it was like this all around, and it was black and white. And I'm not sure it's going to be fun for your adult students or for your kids if they see this. They know it's not a game. They know it's a revision task, and I know that it would be silly to pretend that it was not a revision task, but still making it unpredictable and making it less like grammar and vocabulary, less like this, but they're going to go back to those spaces a lot. The thing is, they're going to go back to them. They're going to end up putting their counters on those spaces anyway, like at least 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
Thank you, Nina.
So Olga, yeah, I wanted to thank you and Ina for the comment. It's always nice to have interviews with you, to have a chat with you. So yeah, but that was not like the only thing. It's not the be all and end all. And I think that there's one more thing, actually 2 more things that I can name. Maybe you can add more. One more important thing is teacher talk, something that is often overlooked, but it has a great power in class, especially at lower levels, when most of the language, most of the exposure comes from the teacher. And just today, before this live stream, I was chatting with my sister who teaches Polish, and I mentioned some of these ideas, and I said that, yeah, you definitely say nacisnąć like 100 times, press, yeah, like 100 times when you're teaching online. And you don't have to teach this word anymore. You don't have to say, okay, so this word is press, to press. Okay, they already know it because you've used it so many times. Yeah, maybe you have to explain it or translate it when you first say it, but you use it so many times, you recycle it a lot, and so much that your students remember it. They don't need extra revision, extra recycling. And we can do it more consciously, though. For example, we could so if we don't have like 100 students and 100 different course books, and I hope we don't, we usually remember what we've done with this or that student, and we usually remember some of the things that they had difficulty with, some of the things that they had difficulty memorizing, and we can use that deliberately when speaking to them. Or if it's not a genuine discussion with them, we can also elicit those words when we feel that this is the right moment to use it and we want to say it, but we can also elicit this word from a student and pretend that we've forgotten it or something. Yeah, but maybe not when you're having a genuine discussion and you're talking about politics and then stop for a second and say, by the way, do you remember the word? That would be a bit awkward because, yeah, if you teach one-to-one, you have to take the role of your student's partner, and there is time and place for this sort of conscious revision, but it's also a great tool if you use more of the past vocabulary, past structures in your teacher talk. Yeah, and the last one that I wanted to mention is actually sequencing if you design your own course, and spiraling, using this connecting ideas and making smooth transitions from one lesson, from one topic to another. And yeah, this is what I'm trying to do with my group students. When designing materials, I always try to think of a good continuation. For example, with the C1 group, we started by talking about historical places and UNESCO heritage, World Heritage sites, and then we talked about Chernobyl, and then I've already have 3 lessons for our future lessons, 3 handouts for our upcoming lessons about museums and the function that they have in our everyday life. Then what galleries and museums do to attract more visitors these days. This is like the second lesson. And the third lesson is Museum of Childhood in Edinburgh. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing the t-shirt that says Edinburgh.
Because this is one of your favorite cities, am I correct?
It is my favorite one, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, it is my favorite city, and I've been to that museum, and I thought it would be a nice transition to the theme of the past, our past. So yeah, and Museum of Childhood is going to connect. It's going to be a perfect bridge between the past and things that are artifacts and things that are in museums, and our past, our real past. Oh, I love museums. Yeah, museums are great, and we should talk more about them, and we should go more to museums which are opening in Poland quite soon.
yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And actually, having said that, Victoria, excuse me, but I must mention that as well, that Victoria is designing her own materials, and she creates the course for her own students, meaning that you plan what you are teaching them, right? And you can also buy these materials from Victoria because she is selling them, she's sharing them. You can just contact her and of course purchase some from her because they're just awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm preparing 2 packages for B1 plus students and B2 C1 students. But I want to prepare the teachers' versions for all of them until I can sell them in packages, because this is going to be better for everybody, and it's going to be cheaper for people if they buy them in packages.
Just
And
stay tuned for those. That's it. That's all
yeah,
I can say.
I
Just
hope to
follow
finish by the
Victoria.
end of this week. But I have a baby to take care of, and this baby is 11 years old, and it's called Tilda. And yeah, I have to walk her 3 times a day. So
Victoria said
I'll
about
try
a
to.
dog. It's a dog.
Yeah, yeah.
In case you haven't got
Mm,
it, it's a dog. Cute one.
yeah.
You know, Victoria, I actually, because you said right now about, you mentioned the materials and how you design, and I have another idea for our session because you delivered the live about these materials, that handouts that you create and you design, but it's another topic, how also you kind of choose the I know we were talking about a little bit about it, but you could say about a bit more in detail how you choose such interesting topics. Oh my god, because I've been to your lessons and I was like, wow. Being an adult, I get such questions which confuses me and which is really interesting for me, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know this information, so you have so much benefit from a lesson. You just enjoyed a lot. So how you would choose what would be the sequence of the topics, how you choose which topic goes after which one, and just inside the lesson that you find interesting videos, they're just stunning, they're catching. And oh my God, I'm praising you. I know, but wait, we have more.
Oh yeah,
Other
I
was
know.
website. Which website?
Yeah, Tilda. But
Ah,
my Tilda is older than the website, I guess. Yeah, thank you so much for your compliments. I just wanted to say that I forget what I wanted to say. Oh yeah, why how I choose those topics. I just have a guilty pleasure. I spent too much time on YouTube watching random videos, and you know that on YouTube you can create playlists. I recently
yay.
discovered that function, and I've got a playlist called Videos for Lessons.
Okay.
And this is where I save like all the videos that are that can be used in my lessons, or that I can send before the lesson or after the lesson. And yeah, I think I've just this is just because I'm interested in many things. I can't say that I'm a well-rounded person, because I don't want to uh, brag about it. I don't think so. I live in my own bubble, as we all do. But I sometimes binge watch videos on YouTube, and I love educational videos like those by Vox, or yeah, by other websites, or Great Big Story, for example, which closed unfortunately half a year ago, but they still have a huge database of great videos. So and they have like pretty random topics, and then I start, you know, I go down this rabbit hole, and start checking things. Like yesterday, I was trying to find information about Wrocław uh, railway station, because I thought it was a very beautiful one, and I thought, okay, who designed it? Who made the project? Why does it look like this? Why does it look the way it does? Um, it looks, you know, in this Egyptian style to me, for some reason. And I wanted to find out more about it. I didn't have time to read all the information, but I still want to check things out about it. So you see, just see random things around you, and you start wondering. And I
Mm-hmm.
think wondering and curiosity is the main tool, that the main thing that drives us as teachers when we want to bring something into the classroom, when we want to add something, and yeah, and then we'll have to revise those things again.
Yes, Victoria, thank you so much for this session, because it was extremely useful and valuable. You shared all the thoughts and even the practical ideas, the practical exercises. And oh my God, I hope that this video will go like viral. Thank you for your time. Yeah, so guys, everyone who watched our video, please don't forget to give it a like. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and leave your comment below. What was the most fascinating for you? What was the most useful new information for you? Please follow Victoria on her Instagram. Stay in touch with her. She has amazing stories. She's writing also very useful posts. So just be with us, stay connected. Thank you for being with us, ladies. You rock. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for staying with us for an
Follow
hour, for supporting us.
Olga.
Yeah, yeah, Victoria. Thank you. I hope that we will organize more sessions in the future. So just stay tuned, everyone. And see you in our next sessions. Thank you, guys. Bye.